folks, I am One Proud Barbarian and we are here in Manor Lords with our big project coming up. You can see that we have built a lot. I think our footprint is everywhere in this region, not just here in these very decentralized rural areas, but also and especially along the stream, where we have built a fortification, and not just that, but also indeed proper civilization. We have a city right here, we have secured our prosperity, and indeed I think it is fair to say that we have made this region our own. Today I will finish it by building, right where you see this gigantic forest right here, one gigantic walled city. The goal is to really make sure that this is in our control and stays in our control, and that will without a doubt play a really big role. I'm looking forward to this, as I will be doing this here in Selbitz in just one episode. As we build this here in Selbitz, this will also be the very last gameplay episode in this series. If you have enjoyed it, or if you're just now finding the channel, watching this city build right here in, a sped up version, then well, make sure to subscribe, because I am really close to 100,000 subscribers, and I really gotta say that is a huge milestone for me, so I appreciate the support. Now anyway, before we actually jump in, I would like to kick out the Baron, because he is rather annoying, and I think at this point our actual fighting force here is well enough to deal with him. So, you know what, I'll see you at the battle. And here we now are. Cowardly, of course, their archers are disappearing. You can see we have some of their other troops on the horizon. We will challenge and completely eviscerate them, I'm sure, but what you can already see here is that if you have a map where you have this big a population, yeah, the battles are kind of a bit clunky, as everybody kind of just goes wherever they want to. Most of the commands only arrive about 6 months after I have given them, but that's just the way that works sometimes. Let's pull back, let's try to get into formation to get one good attack. Here we now go, they are going around me. I don't think that should be too concerning. Obviously, it's a bit weird to see them this aggressive and yet kind of separated. And just look at the chaos. The fight has now truly begun. Our units are destroying the barons. You can see our beautiful shiny helmets right here. Stand for Bavaria, stand proud. I think, what's the second flag right there? There is a new saint. I saw that. Is it Saint Michael? Maybe it is. That man is of course protecting us, not our enemy. I really can't wait until the balancing of these units is really figured out, because I think this is going to be gorgeous. I mean, just look at this. This is a genuine battle. And take a look at us rushing into their side. They will definitely fall here. They got the archers, of course, in the back, but archers are really just an afterthought here. I love the animations as well. They look so good. Almost makes me want to play Total War, and then I remember that I really don't like turn-based games, so where does that leave us? And so, it is done. Nusloa has fallen, we have freed the territory from the Baron, and finally we can have our peace and just keep on building. That's an interesting angle right here. Oh, but I like to see this. This is where we started out. That is our very first Waldhufendorf right there. Alright, and that is now the end of winter as well. Not only have we dealt with the riffraff, but also can we now actually settle it, seeing as the berry deposit is putting us into a really great spot. Now what we do need to do is of course find out where do we build, what do we do. I think I already have a general plan. This entire thing, and that kind of includes the berries, I hope that we can survive even without them, but this entire thing is where I want to see our primary city. Now for that, of course, I need to cut down the forest and I need to secure some food. I think we have a really good Emma fertility spot there. Maybe we will even step into rye fertility, just because, I mean, that does look pretty promising right there. Anyway, so we're going to have some farms here, there, maybe down there, and all the way over there. And of course, right here at the riverbed, right close to the stream. But in general, it means that we need to start settling in, I think, this region, so that we have access to both the meat and the berries, and then indeed can also actually cut down the trees right here without too long of a pathway. So, let's start planning that out. The idea here, of course, at the very start is extremely basic. We've done it now a million times. We start setting up everything so that we can satisfy level 1 of our population without any issue. That way nobody leaves, and then we can expect, of course, more people to arrive. That includes, on challenging here, building a church. It means obviously also having 2 types of food. And then long term, we also have to, kind of look towards flax and whatnot support, although if I can just do it, I would prefer just trading, yarn, linen, whatever else we have. We have so much in clothes and shoes. That shouldn't really be the issue here. Cities like this one, of course, were also incredibly common. You have a pretty exposed valley settlement that is exactly here because it is so easy and prosperous to settle next to a running body of water. But at the same time, if you really want to be protected, you need something massive to keep your enemies at bay. I kind of want a natural inclusion as though this was one area right here. So a bit of a rural area right here, maybe some fields, maybe some sheep, and then it goes up into the, you know, more urban territory. The most urban territory that we have on this map anyway. Oh my god. Even if you defeat him, he can still press claims. Oh, that's gonna be so tiresome. Alright, so here's how we're actually going to start out this settlement. We are going to build a church, I think, right over here. Let me verify just once. Okay, yeah, no, we don't need this as farming area, so we can have a cute little church right here. This is the very first settlement. I would call it a trade settlement, right? We're going to settle alongside this road. It's just a very, very basic Straßendorf that then I assume eventually is going to lead up here into town. With these, we're even going to keep the shape very, very basic. Because like I said, these are here for trade, these are here for the very early settlers. Maybe with then a road going uphill right here into the town later. Alright, now our first point, what are we going to go with? I think ultimately we're going to end up, we are still on the currently live patch, mind you, we're not on the beta where this right here, so the trade logistics was nerfed. I think we're going to look at orchardry, rye cultivation, and then probably trade logistics and better deals. Let's go with this first. I mean, hey, apples are apples are apples, should be pretty easy to, well, build and then indeed keep ourselves afloat with. Yeah, and all we need to do now is just wait for them to actually get over 50% so that we can get more population. I'm also going to go ahead and already plan out the final version of this village right here. The idea is that they benefit from the trade, but they are very rural, they run everything related to hunting, and so I think we're going to just, you know, do the classic Straßendorf expansion right here, where you kind of have like this road going into the back, and then you have, you know, buildings adjacent to this. We already did this all the way over here. You will find many Straßendörfer like this, exactly like this, anywhere really in East Germany, I think. They were very, very common there because you would mostly found your villages, of course, along any trade route. And there you have it. Our very first family has arrived, and all of a sudden, there's a ton of potential in the air. Now, first things first, in this area, before we even start, we of course have to deforest it, and maybe more importantly, I want to build everything that isn't urban first. So that includes the fields and settlement right here, that includes finishing the Straßendorf, and then indeed selecting any area that has decent fertility and putting some, you know, beautiful farmsteads there as well. The idea being, once we start urban planning, a boat ton of people will be moving in, and to support them will be, you know, quite difficult. So hey, the better we are positioned, the better will it be for us. And I hate this, by the way. They forgot to connect the trade route here. I need to do this manually. It always looks so weird when you do it this way. Because obviously it's not actually the same pattern than if this was a proper King's Road. I don't know what it is. They just forgot to connect the roads in some locations here on the map. Alright, and while we now keep cutting down the forest right here, you can see we've already made plenty of progress. The very first rural community that I would like to create here is this one. The goal being that this slots in nicely and then directly leads up all the way right here to our city. Now we're going to start out, of course, by connecting some roads here. Let's take a look at how we can plan this out. Alright, now this did come out pretty well. I really like the way this looks. I think most of the workers, of course, for this farmhouse will actually come out of the city, since all of these houses right here are technically speaking in Sitte, so in this larger district over there. It's not too big a concern of mine. I think the workforce force will not be something that Selbitz will lack, so yeah, we're gonna get that done eventually. I'm mostly interested in keeping a very rural character. And you know what? We need some more houses right here. And I think then we are done in this corner at least. Alright, and now take a look at this. We have massive, massive rye fertility right here as well. How are we doing? Oh, yep, absolutely nothing. I don't think we can do flax or barley here. That will be okay. We have to work with what we got. I think here we're going to put down a couple of lone farmsteads all around this very fertile area. Some, of course, inside as well. Making it so that we can, you know, hopefully actually work this area right here in a pretty easy fashion. And good lord, look at how fast they are. They have already done the majority of the hill here. I am now moving the woodcutters, you know, away from this because this is a very long path and maybe most importantly, they just, you know, are having a tough time actually cutting stuff down. These woodcutters as well, we're going to move them out. We're going to make sure that, you know, essentially these logging camps are the ones responsible for cutting down everything that needs to be cut down. I'm going to move this a little bit more over here. You can also see that we are running a bit low on food, but I think we'll be okay. It's just a question of expanding very, very quickly. Listen, if they starve, they starve. So be it. Oh yeah, I think we can already see it right here. Most of the forest is now gone. You can see we are already working these fields, although I just started building the windmills for this region. Well, before long, it will all be working indeed. I have upgraded here at the Straßendorf a couple of buildings to level 2, mostly because I think this is the most fitting one, right? This is the trade settlement that ultimately will then, of course, kind of flow into this direct city. Whereas all of these right here, they are rural settlements, they are farmer settlements. I think I really got this one down. They always come out nicely. We have some different shapes, some different forms in here. But primarily, of course, these are all just rural communities that are bringing everything they work for here to the windmill, hopefully making it so that we can stop starving. I think we should be golden now. Let me actually double check this. Are you guys working? You're praying and waiting. Well, that is most certainly an activity, huh? And now it is time to do something slightly risky. We have set up everything here when it comes to the rural area. I think we're doing great. Maybe a couple of fields, you know, here and there. But I think in general, this is about it. What I will now do is get rid of the bushes of berries. This could destroy my food forever and we just all starve, but hey, we'll see about that. I need to get rid of this because I want the city to be massive and, well, the area that still here has a forest is definitely going to be a part of it. And now we have to plot out where is our city going to be because, well, as always, I have to first build the wall in theory, so in the planner, then I put down buildings and then we build the wall. That way everything stays interactive. And to do that, obviously, I need to know where the wall is going to be. Now what I am thinking is we're going to start roughly like this, and I'm going to leave it currently with this curvature. I want to include both of these hills. I think that would be quite beneficial. Then we go straight down, cut straight over here. And all of a sudden, take a look at that, we have an interesting city shape. Now, what does kind of concern me here is, will it look good if we make it super, super cornery here? I hope it will. I'm going to do it. Normally we have built, you know, slightly rounded, but I don't think that this will be adequate. This will, of course, be something that is meant to become a proper city wall before long. Obviously not in this version of Manor Lords, but that is the very idea. I want to create something here that could give us exactly that vibe. Alright, now with that placed down, let's take a look at it from the sky. Yeah, take a look at that. That is massive. This will be the city of cities. Hopefully long-term becoming quite interesting. Now, obviously the next step that we have to undertake here is we need to take a good look at what we actually want to construct here. What shall be the form? Right? I am mostly talking about city quarters. Now, there is one that I already have in mind, and I'm going to lead it in a very, very kind of straightforward way, right? So I'm not going to round this at all. There's going to be no curvature. This right here will hold, for example, a tower. I will probably put several tax offices there just to give you an impression of it looking interesting. This is meant to be a part of the garrison. I also think this might be where we will put the big tower. I think it would be a good location. You can see it is slightly more elevated than the rest. So that is where that is going to go. Everything else is a bit more difficult because we need to, of course, have a naturally grown city. Now, I do think that we are going to have our road go in right here. So I want basically a very long, straight road that leads straight to the market. I think that is perfect. Then that means if the market is right here, right, I would like it if basically a road comes out of right here. I'm just going to cut in down there. Maybe we're going to change this, but what I want is to just see, hey, we're going to end up all together right here at the market, and we're going to do the same thing, the exact same issue here on the other side. But you know what, before I actually do that, I will now draw out the market. Something like this is what I envision here anyway, and I would like this to be as little curvature as possible. Although I guess this kind of looks a bit better. There you go. And then, of course, that same road, like I said, goes down roughly right here. I want it to essentially mirror itself. So when we take a look at the map right here now, you can see the main market square. I think we will have some sub-market squares as well, right, in the individual quarters. And then further here in the back, the idea is that that is where the manor goes, which means we can kind of already plot out a path where The manor then clearly gets its own segment, so it will be cut off from the rest of the city. We will have an internal wall there yet again. And I think it's going to look something like this. Let's say the manor goes right over there, which then in turn means I'm going to cut in like so. And we're going to declare this entire area the manor area. This is not a castle, make no mistake. But it is indeed a secured area right there. Alright, now so far so good. We will get a very, very clear structure. I think, oh, you know what, actually, I don't like this road. We're going to change this after all. I will have you go down like so. So that here, roughly in this area, and I'm going to mark it only very roughly, we're not going to place it exactly like this, that is where I want the church. So when you go towards the market right here, you will always be able to see the church indeed. Now what we're going to do here in this context is obviously this road, even if we make it fat, so if we build a house directly at this road, obviously this isn't impressive enough. This is the biggest road in the entire country, and it most certainly, I think, should give that impression as well. So what I'm going to start doing here is this. I'm going to make this road artificially fat. You can see this right here. I'm going to just run plenty of roads back and forth here until the point where all of it is covered in road, at which point I think this hopefully will look very, very impressive. The idea here is that we get a, kind of a view down towards all the way the market square with plenty of spare room, because this is the main road, hopefully making it so that indeed there will be a different impression if you are in one of these sub-quarters of this town, and you look around and you just see, hey, yep, if I go down that road, it is way more narrow, it is not nearly as impressive. That is the idea anyway. Let's hope that that pans out exactly as I envision it. I think this already looks pretty good. Now what I would like to do is, let's just experiment with this a little bit, right? If we place a house, like so, oh, the road gets nicely merged, and I think it even gets a bit fatter. Oh, take a look at that. That is gorgeous. Yeah, we're gonna 100% play around with this a little bit. I've never done this, but I really like the effect here. And that should give this some impressive strength. I'm gonna do something similar, although not as fat here as well. I think that should do it some justice. There you go. Oh, this does not look good on the overview map, but I think, in the actual view here, it will absolutely slap. Now, anyway, this gives us some stuff to play around with now. How are we going to divide the city? Where exactly is it going to go? One really important part for me is that this entirely remains completely unconcerned. If we, for example, cut in here with another road, the entire kind of front line that we get from the level 3 houses won't look nearly as nice because, well, evidently, this interrupts it, you don't get any nice connections, it just doesn't look that great. Let me double check this right here. Yep, the church fits in perfectly. I'm also actually going to go ahead, we're going to place down a market square right here. How many does this fill? Oh yeah, look at that. I mean, this is just plenty, I think. Okay, and now before we do anything else whatsoever, I think it is time that we place our manor, just so that we can indeed look at it. And where am I going to place you? Not that this is a permanent, a very kind of important thing to place down right away, but what we definitely need to do, we need to claim the whole thing with our wall so that I can then actually start building this town. Now listen, as always, I really just want to point out everything we're doing here is illegal. Don't do this at home unless you know what you're doing. This is not an intended usage of the wall or, well, of the fence, but hey, that has never stopped me. Right, and here I was almost forgetting one crucial aspect, and that is, of course, this wall here as well. You want to have this present as much as possible also. And then this one right here. Alright, and that leaves us exactly with these walls. I am looking forward, and I hope that I can actually figure this out and not completely screw it up, but my god, look at the size of this guy. When you compare it to our last wall project, like I said, this was the prototype, and it worked very, very well. The last thing, and I can't do that right now, if I were to place a road right now, the game would get confused. It would think, hey, I think you want to be placing a wall. It kind of bugs out there. I don't know why it does that. But what I want to do is also run a street, on the other side of this wall. I should have done that earlier. I'm going to do that once we build the base level of the mansion. That will just make it easier for me to know exactly where the wall is so that I don't have to worry about that. Anyway, this concludes this. Now that we have built this, I can build in this entire town. And we will finally see it come to life. Alright, so we know we need that church. We also know that we need indeed a market stall. Let me just Let me just put that fella right down here. There you go. We're going to have 70 market locations. I really like the orientation. I think this is going to be great. Maybe I should make this road a bit bigger. You know what? We'll figure it out as we go. Other than that, obviously, we also need a well. For the time being, I'm going to place you, like, right here. Not sure whether there will be a better position. I know that there's no wells except here, where the manor is, which, well, what a coincidence, am I right? Anyway, we're gonna just work with this one well for the time being. I don't think this town will have too many issues when it comes to water, because, well, of the stream down there. I'm also thinking maybe the church would have been quite nice here. That is a different design. I'm thinking we're putting the church right now to the market square, where, of course, it very often also was. I mean, quite frankly, having a road this straight for this long of a period isn't that common to begin with. I just want to build something massive here and see where we can go from there. I am happy to report that apparently the berry bushes are unfazed. We'll see how that goes once we start building on it, okay? I think they're gonna disappear before long. Now, while I don't know what exactly we're going to put at the start here, I think there is going to be a tavern here in our future. Whether it's gonna be right here or right there, I'm not too certain. I would kind of like it if we had everything stacked to the roof here, right? So you get an immediate house right here, etc., etc. I don't really want to have too much open space. I want to build this as densely as we can. And you can see right here, there is not that much of a backdrop here. So I think just having a long initial road where we have taverns, where we have houses, that kind of stuff, maybe even a trade outpost, I think that would fit perfectly well. So I'm gonna just place this house right there. Even gets a tiny backyard. I like it. So I think at the end of the day, we're going to design this exactly with the needs of a potential major town in mind. Obviously, we can't really do it that detailed. I looked up plenty of medieval town plans, right? I looked, for example, hey, what kind of economy is where? How exactly is that going? And to my surprise, by the way, the tannery, and this has, of course, been a topic of debate here on the channel, and I think in the community, the tannery wasn't actually always out of town and, you know, very far away. If we look at Cologne, for example, so Köln, you will see that they had their own quarter. Let's say the tannery goes down here. What I was thinking is that we would put the tannery and whatever else goes into that kind of business, you know, the storehouse and so on, we would put that outside of the city walls, but actually it wasn't all that far away, so it wouldn't necessarily be down there. Interesting tidbit anyway. Obviously, we are missing a variety of buildings that would natively go into this type of city here, but I'm gonna do whatever I can. Right here at the smallest area, I think it would be wise to have a storehouse. You know what, actually, would it be wise to have a trade post? That is a question that oh yeah, look at that, because it's not actually... you're such a nerd, man. Alright, I am now back. Like I said, such a nerd. Anyway, we're gonna just put you down, I think, like so. Then next to you, we're gonna place a building, just so that we have one here. Yeah, look at that. I want to build this as densely as possible. Right after that, I think having some storage options wouldn't be bad, but honestly, I'm looking at this, I almost feel like we might just want to do another house right here then. Can we fit that? Oh, we totally can. Alright, you know what? Actually, I think a guidance road would be perfect here. We're going to place this one down like so, and then we're going to go down in this fashion. I do hope, by the way, that the manor not yet being built does not stop me from building interactive buildings, or, you know, buildings that will remain interactive even after the wall goes up. Normally I let the manor finish first, and now I placed some stuff down in the excitement of finally being able to finish this project. Let's just hope that this pans out. You know what, we're gonna go ahead and actually let the manor be built, and only then will we initiate the building of everything else. If this does actually turn out to be ugly, by the way, at least leave a like for the effort, okay? Even if it turns out completely despicably terrible. Come on, you gotta appreciate the effort put in here. Alright, there is the manor. Let me draw the double road here. We're gonna go into the castle planner. And now that we have re-entered it, I can actually drop in this road right here. Let me just go along like so. I want to make sure that I absolutely do not graze any of these internal barricades. I may remove this road eventually, but for the time being, I think it is way more important that we understand where we are. Alright, you can see it now. This is where the wall is inside, and, well, that means now it is time to just start building. Let's dish this nonsense out. What do we already have? We already have a trading post, we got a storehouse. That makes sense. We definitely 100% want a storehouse and a granary. Almost said it again. Inside of here as well, I think that should be golden. I think maybe even along the road would be okay. You know, why not? We're gonna leave this internal road anyway. So that is the storehouse. Let's do a granary. Actually gonna place you to the back of it. There we go. I don't really want the connection from here. That's okay. If anything, we're gonna cut in from all the way over here. And then we're gonna keep a respectful distance from the market square so that I can have a nice kind of front all around it with this guidance road. I'm gonna delete this guidance road later, maybe? You know, I'm thinking about it. Maybe we're just gonna stick with it anyway. And then right here with this church, we're going to do the same thing. I am going to lead in like... We're gonna lead in like so. Okay, so now the next plan would be we're gonna place down houses all alongside the market here. And I think that works. I think that absolutely works. You think we're gonna do 3? Or we're just gonna do these? These are gonna be our level 3 houses. You always keep that in mind. I'm gonna experiment a little. I'm gonna make them denser, even if it means they may not have a backyard, you know, any of that kind of stuff. How are we doing here? Oh, I like that. Okay. Let's do it like this. Sure. You know what? Let's find out what exactly that looks like. I am hopeful, but I don't know, man. Sometimes things can give you a great impression and ultimately turn out unbelievably ugly. Yeah. Okay, let's try it like this. Let's see where that goes. Let's see where that leaves us. Hopefully somewhere nice. Alright, before I do anything stupid here as well, let me distribute some communal ovens, maybe just, you know, across these districts. I don't think we're going to use them necessarily that way, but it'll be an interesting thing to have either way. And I'm going to place them in a fashion where I need to then plan around them, just to make the street network maybe a bit more interesting. I don't really want to have it close to the market here. Oh, you know, maybe it makes sense to place it right here as well, just to give this some depth. No, don't snap to the road. Where there is some internal economy, essentially, here in our manor. I don't think that would be stupid. I think that is a pretty decent idea there. Now, we do also need variety. I want just some different buildings, just so that it looks a little bit more interesting. A smithy would be nice, and a smithy will be nice. We're going to place it exactly here at the... in the courtyard, essentially. You know what? I'm actually going to place you pretty close to the manor itself. See, about the Weaver's Workshop and all that stuff, I don't feel they fit in. I think I'm going to banish both of them into a tiny outside settlement right here. So that will be the Weaver's Workshop, that will be the tannery, maybe even the malt house, we're going to see. Okay, now let's talk markets, right? Like I said, I would like some markets maybe in this area here as well, so that you don't necessarily have to go to the other market. I think a market maybe here, a castle market. I mean, it's definitely existed, but I'm not sure that I want to go into that direction. I think a market here with this communal oven would be perfect. So let's try to plan this out at least somewhat. We want to have a local center, and that local center is meant to make it so, you know, basically this is its own quarter here. I'm gonna cut in there. Then we're gonna have a market that gives this a bit of texture, because this way the market does not have the same alignment as the other market, as the main market, that is. And if we ever actually get the stalls in here, I don't know whether they will spawn, right? But if we do, should look good. Oh, and that is actually perfect. I think we're going to have a road come in here, okay? And this road will be responsible to pierce the gate, basically right here. So this leads where the tannery is, and so on and so forth. We're going to build this, though, only after the city is done. All right, now over here, I think we're going to do the same spiel. I actually was thinking about it now. I think there should be a market here instead. We're going to lead it together with the communal oven, and then, of course, around it, so that we have a nice separation there. And then I would like, effectively, a separation here as well. Some houses that face in this direction, and then the remaining houses face right there. What the hell is that? Okay, come on. That's not serious. That's a joke. Can we get it done like so? Come on, man. Oh, okay, you know what? This, I think, is better. I would rather do this. Oh boy. This is an insane project right here. I'm just gonna randomly assign farmers. I don't think that we're ever gonna harvest everything, but we're harvesting plenty. It's nice, right? So I'm just gonna keep that going. Oh, it looks great from the inside, but this does not yet look very impressive. Let's hope that we can make it a bit more impressive from down in the valley. Obviously, this also isn't even, which kind of sucks. Oh, but come on, man. We gotta push this as far as we can. I hope that the fence does a lot of the work here, eh? Now, even here, I would actually prefer it if we had a couple of buildings in it, just to make this seem a bit more lived in. I'm not even sure where we're going to properly enter this stuff yet, but I know that the tower is going to be roughly here, so I think that should be a fine divide. And then after that, surely we would also want a granary and of course a storehouse, and then we go from there. Well, as you can see, there's a bit of a cost attached here. Took me long enough. I'm gonna check that all of the walls actually have the correct kind of, pass through, the correct gates, all that kind of stuff. But after that, I'm not gonna show it to you until it is finished, which is probably gonna take a number of years. Well, for me, anyway. For you, it will be instantaneous. And folks, there we finally have it. This is our town, our stronghold, that will oversee this stream right here and everything that we have built in this playthrough for now and forever. You can see it has taken some time. I think this is now year 44, like I said. Yeah, this was a long project, and I'm very happy to have done it in one sitting. Take a look at that. I even managed somehow, if you count, I think there are 3 or 4 of the big garrison towers. I don't know why the game let me place them. I know that this was disabled a while ago, but I mean, they're there and I'm not going to complain. I think it looks great. If we go actually here, in this view, the only thing that I regret, I think this main road right here might be slightly too long. I think the distance here is just quite significant, but at the end of the day, that is exactly what I was gunning for. You can see right here, you enter town, you get the tavern, and then slowly but surely we get the richer neighborhood the closer we come to the market square. Now we're going to take a look at that, of course, in third person, so let's just zoom out here for a bit. Yeah, there you go. You can see all 4 towers from right here. If we go into the countryside of Selbitz, we can see this right here as well. Imagine if this wall was maybe, twice or thrice its size, and I think you would get the very right impression. Right now, of course, it is merely a fence, but yeah, we have built something here. You can see also that I have managed to not only tie in this location right here itself, but also we have these individual borough markets. All of them except this one. I think this one still needs a couple of stalls to really fill it, and all of them are keeping this region alive. It means that there's a lot of foot traffic, it means that there are a lot of people coming and going, and of course this city will only grow. Now from the perspective of this city, take a look at that valley. We can, even in the distance, I think it's all the way over there in the far distance, just in the center of the screen, we can see the other fortification that we built that is of course significantly smaller when we compare it to this one. All in all, I'm incredibly happy with this, but let's take a look at it in third person. I think we would do well to start right here at the tax office with this garrison tower. For some reason, and I think this must have been what let me build so many of these towers, for some reason I was only able to place 1 tax office. In the past I was always able to place more, but I was then able to place a ton of these towers, so I'm not really going to be complaining. It maxed out at 4, but hey, that is better than what you otherwise get. Now, if we take a look at this, you can see the entire countryside, and I think this really came out nicely, except look at these pilgrims. They're working the fields. It looks kind of weird, but what are you going to do? But at the end of the day, that is just what you get. We have the church, then down there we have the Straßendorf, and you can see indeed that this works quite nicely. What we're going to do here is, I think we're going to go out of this inner wall into the main body of the city right here. You can see all of these buildings looming in the distance. It is a very tightly built city, although indeed most of these pathways here are much wider than what we have right here, as I have created them so that there are several pathways at all times overlapping each other. Then right here we could cycle around the wall that, encompasses this garrison tower area, but we're not going to do this. Instead, we will simply follow down this road right here. My god, this guy is carrying a lot of stuff. Right here we have the passageway outside of town. Let's just take a look at this. This ox seems to have a bit of an issue passing through. There is a lot of foot traffic here. Sadly, we don't currently have any wider gates than this one, so that is the best we can do. And then you can see the wide open fields as we already saw them from the garrison tower area here. Now there is a lot of foot traffic, but well, this street is wide enough to really manage it. Take a look at that. I like these very wide streets. I would recommend building this in the same way that I have, where you don't just use one path, but instead overlap several so that you get a wider area. You can see this right here as well. This path has been built on, so this is a wider path. but it of course is nothing compared to this one right here. And that brings us to the market square. Take a look at this. Let's start with the church. Obviously, I would hope that eventually we get bigger churches, you know, a cathedral, because then this would look reasonably impressive. But my god, this market, it is very busy. It is nicely surrounded, nicely framed by all of these houses here. I think this really came out well. And then if we take a look at this road, this is the incredibly long road. And I really like this as well. I think it is slightly too long, but at the same time, I like how wide it is. I like how nice it looks with these level 3 houses, and then indeed the way it leads into our actual market square right here. Now, my favorite view in this entire town and in this entire region is when we leave this town, down the gate, you know, to where Zit is. Because you can see really everything in such a nice perspective there. Just look at this. I really like these wide roads, and I like the structure of this town. You have a very clear entry point that everybody then follows, making it so that it looks busy, but not overly busy. Oh, and I never noticed that they actually carry the carcass. I thought that didn't have a proper animation, if I'm gonna be honest with you. Now we go down here, and yet again, we have this beautiful countryside. Just take a look at this. This looks so good. Down there behind the mist, we have Zitte. We can't even really look any further, but of course our dear defenders on the towers, like this one over there, they are very viably defending us. They can see down all the way into the distance there in the valley. And you can see our tower, our manor here in Zitte, all the way over there as well. And then right here, I have placed, not that it is currently in use, but we have a storehouse, we have a bunch of tanneries, we even have the wool weavers. And from here they can access the city, but they are outside so that their smells also stay as far away as possible. And you can see right here, yeah, this looks so nicely urban. Especially when we compare it to everything else that we have built, including what we have built in this very province here in Selbitz. I really like the way this came out. Look at this nice tower. Yeah, from this tower, I'm sure, and let's switch into that angle. If we take a look at this valley from this tower, you can see the entire city, and you can watch down, watch down this entire valley as well. The way this came out makes me very happy. Was it worth the time? Honestly, yes, I think so. This is the crowning achievement of our region. My god, it took far too many years. Let's take a look at it from here as well. Look at this city. So many level 3 families. The frame rate and of course the pathfinding are in a terrible spot, but hey, I'm not gonna complain about this. I'm very glad with how this came out. And that concludes, of course, our journey here in Manor Lords. We have won against the Baron. You see our original location is Zitte right here, the densest location, and yet all rural, except, for Zitte itself right here. But I mean, compare it to the town that we just were in. This is nothing. This is still a backwater village when we compare it to our new town. Now, if we go down here, we see the fortification that at the time took plenty of time, plenty of work, and plenty of planning, and yet it really safeguards the rural character. It is merely a trade outpost, not at all comparable to the town that we just built. And then right here we have the 2 regions that are entirely rural. They don't have anything in terms of a central town. Take a look at that. Just nothing but farms, nothing but forestry work. And then, of course, they bring all of their spoils right here into our capital. Folks, the frame rate is saying goodbye, and so am I. Thank you for sticking with this series. Thank you for taking a look at this beautiful build. I hope that I could give you some ideas. I hope that you are also having a great time with Manor Lords. But this is it for right now. Maybe I will return to some one-off or some, 2 series videos when it comes to Manor Lords. Of course, we're going to return for big updates. But I will leave you right here for now. Make sure to subscribe, to leave a like at the video, and I'll see you later, alligator.